Tonight on Y News. The Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service begins pre-charge investigation against policemen involved in the Jee kidnap-slay case. The lower house urges for a total deployment ban of household service workers in Kuwait. Department of Agriculture is now searching for other sources of fish for Metro Manila as authorities begin the dismantling of fish cages in Laguna Lake.
The Department of Energy reminds consumers to conserve electricity in line with the scheduled Malampaya shutdown on Saturday. The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, reports 6.6% growth in the country's gross domestic product in 2016. And candidates vie for the top 12 spots in tonight's pre-pageant competition of the Miss Universe 2016.
Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo, Castro III, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The PNP Internal Affairs Service conducts a motu proprio investigation on the cops involved in the Jee Ick Joo kidnap-slay case. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
The PNP Internal Affairs Service, or IAS, is now in the process of the pre-charge investigation for the grave misconduct case against SPO3 Ricky Santa Isabel, as well as the simple neglect of duty charge against his team leader, Superintendent Rafael Dumlao, due to lack of command responsibility. The PNP IAS Deputy Inspector General Police Director Leo Angelo says they will investigate the details behind the kidnapping and killing of Korean businessman Jee Ick Joo. It can be recalled that at 2 p.m. of October 18, the Korean was abducted from his house at the Friendship Plaza subdivision by alleged personnel of the PNP Anti-Illegal Drugs Group and National Bureau of Investigation. On November 28, or a month after the incident, PNP AIDG sent a case referral to IAS against SPO3 Santa Isabel, the primary suspect in the case. On January 19, the wife of Jee filed a kidnap for ransom and illegal detention charges against the accused.
As far as the SPO3 Santa Isabel and then Police Superintendent Dumlao and PO3 Villegas are concerned, their cases are now under pre-charge investigation. If and when there is probable cause, then this can be forwarded to summary hearing procedures, and then we can either go position papers or we can go on an open hearing.
Luterio says the case against Dumlao may strengthen if SPO4 Roy Villegas submits an affidavit. Villegas is among the accused.
If the study of the affidavits executed by Villegas, and maybe if there will be other pieces of documents or evidences and other testimonies, additional charges or more serious charges can be levied against SPO3 Santa Isabel, even Police Superintendent Rafael Dumlao.
Luterio vows to immediately finish the pre-charge investigation so they could schedule a summary hearing on the suspects in February. 35 to 45 days is allotted for the conduct of an open hearing. The PNP IAS also has the option to have the accused submit their position papers instead for the fast creation of recommendation that will be submitted to PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa. Leah Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Senator Panfilo Lacson urges cooperation between the National Bureau of Investigation and the Philippine National Police in the resolution of the Jee Ick Joo kidnap-slay case. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs conducted a 6-hour probe into Tokhang for ransom incidents, particularly the kidnap-slay case of Korean businessman Jee Ick Joo. Suspects Police Superintendent Rafael Dumlao and SPO3 Ricky Santa Isabel were among those who faced the inquiry. Joo's household help Marisa Morchico, who was also abducted together with Jee, identified Santa Isabel as among those who entered the Korean's house to rob the family.
Nung pagpasok ko po doon sa kusina, may nakita po akong lalaki na nagbubukas po ng drawer doon sa sala. Tapos po, nagtanong po ako. Sabi ko, bakit po?
Sabi nila, naghahanap sila ng shabu.
Opo, ang tao lang po noon, isa lang po, ang nakita ko si SPO 3 lang po, Santa Isabel.
A cell phone video on Jee's abduction was presented in the hearing, as well as a CCTV footage showing Santa Isabel's car being used in the operation. Santa Isabel, however, maintained it was just a setup. He also pointed to Police Superintendent Dumlao as the one who headed the operation.
Tinawagan po ako ni Sir Dumlao para pumunta po ng Krame. Pagpunta ko po sa Krame, pinapunta niya po ako doon sa grandstand dahil doon po nakapark yung sasakyan po nila. Pagbukas ko po rin sa pinto, sa unahan, nakita ko po pinapalo niya po ng 45 yung Koreano.
Your Honor, wala po akong inauthorize na ganyang operation. Hindi ko po alam. In fact po, yung mga kasama po niya, hindi ko po ka-unit.
Santa Isabel's questionable wealth was also buried in the hearing. A PNP officer reported that his assets amount to 17 million pesos, despite earning only 8,000 pesos every month. He also allegedly owns 5 house and lots, 1 commercial building, and a number of vehicles. In the Senate hearing, Committee Chair Senator Panfilo Lacson pointed the need for the Philippine National Police and the National Bureau of Investigation to reconcile the differences in their findings. For its part, the PNP is convinced that Santa Isabel is the primary suspect to the killing of Jee, while the NBI insists that he is not the most guilty and has agreed to provide him custody. Lacson said it is crucial that they cooperate with each other to solve the case.
I'd like to enjoin the NBI and the PNP. It is not too late to coordinate. Ang magsasuffer dito yung case. I hope you will not fall victim to intrigues coming from a respondent.
Meanwhile, Police Director General Roland de la Rosa promised to intensify its counterintelligence to monitor scalawags among the police ranks. The Senate, on the other hand, will continue its probe on the matter next week Thursday, wherein more resource speakers are expected to attend. Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
A survivor of Oplan Tokhang, along with relatives of robbed suspects killed by policemen, today filed a petition questioning the anti-drug campaign of the Duterte administration. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
A survivor of Oplan Tokhang, together with relatives of 4 men who were killed during police operations in Area B, Payatas, Quezon City in August last year, sought the help of the Supreme Court. Efren Murillo, who survived the Oplan Tokhang after playing dead, filed a petition for the issuance of writ of amparo. He is joined by relatives of the victims who were brutally killed by policemen after they were accused of involvement in illegal drugs. Named respondents were PNP Chief Ronald de la Rosa, the Chief of Quezon City Police District, and the station commander and policemen of QCPD Station 6 involved in the operation. The petitioners sought court protection because of threats to their lives.
The families of the victims who were murdered by the police are being visited by the perpetrators themselves repeatedly to cow them, to force them into paralyzed silence.
The families, the petitioners are fearing for their lives. That is why we are filing this writ of amparo. Because hindi nga po sila makapaghanap buhay kasi takot na takot ho silang lumabas pa ng bahay.
They are also asking the court to issue a TRO and stop the conduct of Oplan Tokhang in Payatas.
I believe this is the very first time that such a suit is being filed with the Supreme Court questioning the application of the government's Tokhang.
They are also considering filing a separate petition to stop all Tokhang operations in the country due to abuses allegedly committed by policemen.
We understand the need for to fight the drug menace in our society, but we are also a civilized nation. We also have a constitution, we have laws, we have a system of laws, and we want that law to be followed.
Murder cases are also being prepared against the policemen of QCPD Station 6. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Korean community in the country is worried about their safety following the series of illegal police operations victimizing Koreans. Grace Casin tells us why.
We are so sad. At the same time, we are so worried about even our safety concern in the Philippines.
The group United Korean Community Association in the Philippines airs their concern after the death of Korean businessman Jee Ick Joo, followed by 3 other Korean nationals that fell victims of robbery extortion that happened in Angeles, Pampanga. Despite their claim that they trust Filipinos, the group could not help but still be worried about their safety. This morning, Angeles City Police Station 5 sent a letter of apology to the Korean community in Angeles, Pampanga.
Nagpa-receive po tayo ng letter of apology sa Korean community dito po sa Angeles City. Regarding po ito doon sa insidente nangyari po ng December 30 na mayroon pong na-abduct na 3 Koreans. Allegedly po mga pulis po ang gumawa.
Meanwhile, the authorities have already tightened the security in Korean community in the area. Police operatives will not be allowed to enter unless it is cleared by the head of the Station 5. The Korean Association in the country hopes that the government will give justice to their fellow Koreans.
We are trusting Philippine law and the government, and this incident, but I believe also this will be sooner we can solve all the problem.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Lawmakers in the lower house want to push for a moratorium or total ban of sending household service workers in Kuwait after the execution of Jakatia Pawa. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Members of the House of Representatives are dismayed over the execution of Jakatia Pawa, a household service worker in Kuwait. According to ACO-OFW Representative Vanesito Bertiste, for a long time they are pushing for the review of the government's policy of sending household service workers or domestic workers in Kuwait. Solons claimed that they have been receiving a lot of reports regarding the abuses and maltreatment of OFWs in the Middle East. A resolution has been filed in the lower house to investigate these cases. This also prompted the lawmakers to push for the implementation of moratorium or total ban of recruitment of household workers in Kuwait.
House resolutions that asking for the moratorium and ban of deployment sa Kuwait. Dapat matagal na to eh. Bakit hindi rin-report to ng Polo? Kung ilan libo ang nasa shelter ngayon na hindi umuuwi.
Representative Bertiste also questioned the resolution of the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration or POEA board on the approval of 32 countries as compliant on the policies of protecting the rights of the household service workers. On the other hand, Muntinlupa City Congressman Rufy Biason believes that the government should create a special body on these cases.
So why don't we create at this point a special task force to focus on all of these pending cases of our OFWs in other countries?
There are about 250,000 OFWs in Kuwait. 158,000 of them are household service workers. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Philippine government sees no reason why the United States will not heed to their request to delist Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison from the international terrorist list. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The government is confident that the United States of America will grant its request to delist Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison from the U.S. State Department's foreign terrorist list. Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella says he sees no reason why America should deny the said request.
For the delisting of Chairman Jose Maria Sison is aligned with the President's wish to hold peace talks with the leadership of the Communist Party of the Philippines. The government maintains its position that there's no reason for the U.S. to deny this request bearing in mind that Mr. Season is part of the negotiating panel.
The issue of delisting Season from the terrorist list is one of the recommendations agreed upon by the government and the National Democratic Front Peace Panel during the third round of peace talks in Rome, Italy. This step is part of the government's efforts to make Season go back to the Philippines to proceed with the peace talks without fear of being arrested. Meanwhile, the government is leaving it up to the leadership of the CPP-NPA-NDF to encourage their members to continue with the peace talks following reports of discontentment from their members.
Naintindihan natin yung mga nangyayaring ganon. However, we understand also that their organization is also in conversation with their own people. So let us leave it to them to be able to settle matters among themselves.
The government remains confident that the goal of the GPH-NDF peace panels to continue the peace talks will prevail to attain lasting peace for the country. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Various agencies of the government joined forces to dismantle illegal structures in Laguna Lake. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR has not renewed the permits of fish pen and fish cage operators in Laguna Lake and vows to dismantle all structures in it. Today, the government demolition team composed of DENR, LLDA, Philippine Coast Guard and NBI executed the dismantling operation in the area. Laguna Lake is 90,000 hectares wide. The DNR says the area covered by fish pen and fish cages is 13,000 hectares, bigger than its 10% carrying capacity for aquaculture, equivalent to 9,000 hectares. Structures in the Laguna Lake block the passage of fishermen. The department also says the lake has to rest, be given enough time to rejuvenate to allow the water to flow freely.
Wala dapat malalaking negosyo na siyang exclusive na nakikinabang sa biyaya ng Laguna Lake. Dapat lahat ng mahihirap na mga nakatira dito sa paligid ng lake ay magkaroon ng pakinabang sa mga resources.
Very clear ang mandate instruction ni Presidente sa DENR. Talagang clean up and allow the lake to heal and rejuvenate.
Some fishermen have already pleaded to operators of dismantled fish pens to share in the fishing.
Bagay po ito sa aming maliliit na mga isda. Dahil lalawak po aming pangisdaan.
The Department of Agriculture is now searching for other sources of fish since 36% of Metro Manila's fish supply comes from the said lake. Before the end of June, about 2,000 hectares of fish pen and cages in the lake are expected to be dismantled. This latest effort is in accordance with the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Laguna Lake.
The Department of Energy reminds the public anew to conserve electricity as Malampaya Power Plant's scheduled maintenance shutdown begins on Saturday. John Nano will tell us why.
The Department of Energy will start on Saturday the 20-day maintenance shutdown of the Malampaya Natural Gas Power Plant. Although the power plant will temporarily close, DOE assures Meralco customers that no power interruption will occur. In line with this, the Energy Department reminds the public to conserve electricity to maintain sufficient power supply. Meralco initially announced the possible increase in power rates due to the scheduled maintenance shutdown. Based on Meralco's estimates, power rates might increase by 1 peso and 44 centavos per kilowatt hour. This means an additional 288 to 720 pesos to the monthly bill of households consuming 200 to 500 kilowatt per hour. This is why DOE gives tips on how to save energy. DOE says it is better to lessen the use of lights by an hour, which will save consumers 5 pesos monthly. 20 pesos will be saved by consumers if they will lessen the use of television by an hour. For those using air conditioners, DOE advises households to lessen its use by 2 hours every day to save 300 pesos in electricity bills. 28 pesos and 40 centavos will be saved by consumers if they will avoid the repeated opening of refrigerators. DOE also says it would be better to just use laptops than desktop computers since it has lower power consumption. If desktop is used, DOE advises consumers to lessen its use by 1 hour to save 50 pesos.
Pinapatingnan ni Secretary Cruz yan. Sinasabi natin kung isi-simulate natin, kung titingnan natin kung ito wala, tapos magkakaroon ng change of fuel from not gas to diesel, ito yung diferensya. Ano yung impact sa prices?
DOE and Meralco are currently coordinating with the Energy Regulatory Commission about the expected increase in power rates. The Malampaya maintenance shutdown will be from January 28 to February 16, 2017. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Department of Energy.
The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, reports an improvement in the Philippine economy, particularly in 2016. Joan Nano is back to tell us why.
The Philippines' gross domestic product has increased by 6.6% in the last quarter of 2016. This contributed to the overall 6.8% increase in the country's gross domestic product for the entire year. The 2016 GDP is higher than the previous year's 5.9%. Sectors that contributed to the country's GDP growth were the manufacturing industry, real estate, and rental, among others. The industry sector was the highest contributor with 7.6%, higher than 6.5% in 2015. Contributions from the services sector, on the other hand, declined to 7.4% from 7.8% in 2015. The agriculture sector also declined by 1.1%. The National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, says the series of typhoons that struck the country has left massive destruction in agriculture. Meanwhile, on the demand side, the household consumption, such as bills payment, put in the largest contribution to the economy. NEDA is positive that the country's economic performance will continue towards further improvement in the lives of around 6 million Filipinos in the coming years.
The income will rise by 40%. More importantly, we hope to reduce poverty incidence to 14% by 2022 from 21.6% in 2015, thereby lifting about 6 million Filipinos out of poverty.
NEDA estimates that the Philippines ranks 3rd or 4th among countries in Asia that have faster economic growth, following China and Vietnam in the last quarter of 2016. Malacanang is confident that the increase in the country's GDP is a sign of an improving economy.
And the 6.6 growth in the fourth quarter is a testament that our economy remains robust and is growing at a healthy and a steady rate.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Next in Y News. The Department of National Defense likely will ink defense deals with China and Russia this year.
And the Miss Universe 2016 pre-pageant kicks off tonight at MOA Arena in Pasay City.
Y News will be right back. Former President Benigno Aquino III breaks his silence over the Mamasapano incident. Marge Navarro will tell us why.
Following President Rodrigo Duterte's pronouncements yesterday, former President Benigno Aquino III has issued an official statement explaining his side regarding Oplan Exodus. He once again insists that he has no responsibility for the deaths of the 44 members of the PNP Special Action Force in Mamasapano, Maguindanao on January 25, 2015. Instead, Aquino pointed at former Staff Director Getulio Napeñas as the one responsible for the ill-fated operation. The former president said Napeñas failed to properly coordinate with other government agencies despite his order to ensure the sufficient number of backups for the operation. He also denied any U.S. involvement in Oplan Exodus, whose primary objective was the capture of international terrorist Zulkifli Binhir alias Marwan, one of the FBI's most wanted. Aquino also cleared presidential advisor on the peace process, Teresita Deles, from accusations that she's the one who advised the former chief executive of not sending air assets since the operation would gravely affect the then peace process. This was because it was believed that some members of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front were protecting Marwan. Aquino also noted that he never let the SAF troopers die because he emphasized that Oplan Exodus should be coordinated with the AFP. He also has no knowledge as to where the $5 million reward from the US government went. Aquino likewise defended his move to award Medal of Valor to only 2 of the killed SAF members. He claims he based it on the recommendation of the PNP board and that it had undergone the right process. Meanwhile, Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre is not convinced with the arguments of the former president. Aguirre argues that Aquino is just sparing himself from any liability, saying the former president had a failure in the said operation. The Justice Secretary adds that Aquino's mobile phone should be subjected to forensic examination to determine the conversation he had with the officials who conducted the ill-fated operation.
Palagi niya sinasabi yan eh. Pero siya ang nagsisinungaling.
Bakit sir?
Sasabihin niyang wala siyang kinalaman doon. Doon sa, hindi daw niya alam yun, hindi daw siya nagbibigay ng order. Ano ba yung ginawa niyang nakipag-text siya kay General Purisima na nagbibigay siya ng order kung paano, ano na nangyayari dyan kay Marwan, ano nangyayari kay Usman. So yan ay, ang ibig niya sabihin ay talagang on the top of the situation siya na alam niya ang lahat ng nangyayari.
Marge Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Former PNP Special Action Force Director Getulio Napeñas refuted the allegations made by then President Benigno Aquino III and says that he was made an scapegoat on the issue. Monokson will tell us why.
From the time na nag-umpisa investigation niya, yung pagtatakip nila at yung talagang gustong ako ang gagawing scapegoat at fall guy, kitang-kita ng sambayan ng Pilipino yan. At kitang-kita ng sambayan ng Pilipino yung mga quibling na sagot niya. Even nung inilabas niya yung alternative truth na galing mismo sa bibig niya, quibling ang ating dating Pangulo.
These are the words from former PNP Special Action Force Director Getulio Napeñas regarding the statement of former President Benigno Aquino III over the Mamasapano encounter. Napeñas says he did his job, but unfortunately, they did not receive any assistance when they are placed in a tight situation.
Ginawa namin ang trabaho. Nung nagkalitsalitsi, iniwan kami, hindi kami tinulungan. Ano ang ginawa niya nung nasa Zamboanga? Nandun na ang kabinete niya na kayang tumulong sa amin. Nandun ang Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces, nandun ang Western Mindanao, nandun ang Secretary of Defense, nandun ang Secretary of PLG. Wala siyang ginawa para tulungan kami. Ngayon, kasalanan ko lahat.
Based on the counter affidavit filed by Aquino in the Ombudsman, he said that he ordered Napeñas to coordinate with the armed forces of the Philippines. Napeñas refutes the statement and says he never received any direct orders from President Aquino.
Never na nagbigay ng direct na utos sa akin ang Pangulo. Laging dumadaan kay General Purisima noong hindi pa suspindido at pati nung suspindido siya. Kaya for him to say na inutusan ako mismo, hindi totoo yan. Hindi ganun ang pagkasabi.
The first plan for the execution of Oplan Exodus is January 11 to 14, but it was cancelled. Napeñas then texted Purisima to inform him of the schedule of the operation. Purisima replied that President Aquino approved January 23 to 26. Napeñas clarifies that he has not been informed that he will coordinate with the AFP that time, when he was given the go signal and all orders by the President is directed to General Purisima.
Never na nagbigay sa akin ng direct order. At doon sa text message na yun, hindi nababanggit na yung coordination. Dahil nung pagkatapos namin mag-usap-usap doon sa bahay pangarap noong January 9, paglabas ni General Purisima, saka mo na sabihin yung dalawa, akong bahala kay General Katapang. Yun ang sinabi niya. Lahat ng utos, walang idinediretso ng Presidente Aquino sa akin.
Napeñas believes that the former president blames him to avoid being held liable on the death of the SAF-44. Napeñas adds that he is prepared to face trial on all the case filed against him. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Department of National Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana confirms a direct link between terrorist group ISIS and the senior leader of the Abu Sayyaf group, Isnilon Hapilon. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The Defense Department also assures of preventing any attempts of ISIS to build a hideout in the Philippines.
Meron silang contact ngayon. And in fact, one of the leaders in Basilan, Hapilon Isnilon, he moved to Central Mindanao on the behest of the ISIS people there in Middle East to find out if yung Central Mindanao is more conducive to the establishment of an organization, ISIS, yung wilayat nila.
The Department of National Defense or DND says terrorist group ISIS is searching for a hideout in Mindanao. This after the terrorists communicated with the leader of bandit group Abu Sayyaf Isnilon Hapilon. DND says ISIS is already losing grounds in the Middle East due to intense military offensive against them. This is why the terrorists are searching for contacts from other countries like the Philippines. Lorenzana adds that ISIS has already directed Isnilon to search for a possible hideout for them. In line with this, the government wonders why Isnilon left their hideout in Basilan and went to Butig, Lanao last December.
Pala, December pa. Because Hapilon Isnilon left Basilan and went to Lanao sometime in the middle of December. So that time we tried to find out why he is there, why he left the safety of his traditional area of operation from Basilan and went to Lanao. And medyo napagtampay-tagpi namin yung mga nangyari and that's what he was trying to do there.
Lorenzana says Isnilon convinced the Maute group to support ISIS. Maute group was the one who besieged Lanao last year. The Defense Department explains that ISIS can be immediately captured in Sulu and Basilan. That's why it's looking for bigger area to hide.
I think he went there just to see the area, to find out if it is conducive for them to move there and establish what they call the caliphate or wilayat of the ISIS.
Despite this, the Defense Department assures that military operation against terror groups will not stop and that they will hinder any ISIS attempts to build an organization and hideout in the country.
We continue to operate against the Abu Sayyaf, the kidnapping. We will continue to improve our capability to degrade them.
Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The Department of National Defense has already submitted to China a list of military equipment under Beijing's $14 million grant. Brian De Paz is back to tell us why.
Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana reports on the continuous efforts to modernize the armed forces of the Philippines. The Secretary notes that the new equipment that the military will purchase will be used against terrorist groups like Abu Sayyaf and other rebels threatening the country's security. The Defense Department reports that it has already submitted to China a list of military equipment after Beijing's offer of $14 million grant.
So ang nauna nating bibilhin doon is the fast boats. They have also small fast boats na pwede natin gamitin against the Abu Sayyaf. We have also listed the yung ating drones na pwedeng gamitin ng tactical units.
Aside from this, the list also includes equipment for bomb disposal and sniper rifles which will be used for urban warfare against terrorists.
Yung remote control na parang maliit na tangke. O unmanned armor vehicle na pwedeng napos makunin niyang bomba o paputokin niya. Wala pa tayo nun. Sniper rifles, meron silang mga rifle na maganda din dyan.
The Defense Department also announces the war vessels and aircrafts offered by Russia's defense minister.
Russian defense ministry has offered us a lot of things: ships, submarines, aircrafts, and helicopters. We will look into that because we should buy in accordance with our modernization plan.
DND assures they are careful in buying defense equipment and that it makes sure everything they will purchase will be useful. Lorenzana says he may visit Russia in April for a signing of a memorandum of understanding for military-to-military engagement of the two countries. Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos files a motion to set his election protest for preliminary conference. Roderick Mendoza will tell us why.
Former Senator Bongbong Marcos is asking the Supreme Court to set the preliminary conference on his election protest against Vice President Leni Robredo. The SC Anbank sits as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal tasked to resolve Marcos's petition. Robredo won last year's vice presidential race, leading Marcos by a slim margin of 200,000 votes. A lawyer for Marcos says they want the tribunal to already hear the election protest since the last pleading joining the issues in the case was already submitted last September.
Para magtuloy-tuloy na yung pagdinig ng election protest at inaasahan po natin na maglalabas na rin po sila ng kautusan upang magbigay ng takdang araw at panahon para gawin po ang preliminary conference.
The lawyer explains the conduct of preliminary conference is necessary before the tribunal can finally order the recount of votes.
Pagka ito'y naganap na, hindi na po maaaring pigiling artificially ang takbo ng election protest. Magkakaroon po ng sariling buhay ang election protest. Magtatakda po ng tamang panahon ang tribunal para isagawa ang judicial revision.
Marcos questions Robredo's victory due to alleged fraud and anomalies committed during the elections. He wants the tribunal to annul Robredo's proclamation and declare him the duly elected vice president of the country. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The European Union pledges that they will continue to support the Democratic Party Development Bangsamoro or DEPADEV project, which aims to establish political parties from different sectors, particularly in Mindanao. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The 18-month Democratic Party Development Bangsamoro or DEPADEV project will continuously be funded by the European Union. It aims to establish the political parties which will run political reforms in the future Bangsamoro entity. The first phase of the DEPADEV project will end in February, but the EU states that they will still fund it until the third phase ends in July 2017.
I'm hoping that soon in the future we will see the framework and the outcome of reforms and the political and legal reality.
Within a year of DEPADEV's administration, led by the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung and Institute for Autonomy and Governance or IAG in the Philippines, an estimated 1,500 political parties have gone through seminars and trainings in crafting political platforms, forms of political parties, and COMELEC registration of political parties. A part of the project's main point is the establishment of political parties for a lasting peace in the autonomous Bangsamoro region.
Peace process is essentially also political reforms. No? So a successful peace process requires successful political reforms.
The Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process or OPAP thanks the European Union delegation to the Philippines for the support it has given to the government of the Philippines in pushing for the peace process, especially in Mindanao.
Congratulations also to the participants who have completed the 3 phases of this project. Your completion of this course is the start of more work in transforming interest groups into functional programmatic political parties based on the rule of law.
The European Union expects that the project will have good results in establishing parties in Mindanao and give the people their choices on which party will lead them and not just rely on political dynasties. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Miss Universe 2016 candidates donned their best swimwear, evening gowns, and national costume tonight at the Mo Arena in Pasay City. Rina Villamor Camara will tell us why.
Tonight is the start of the preliminary competition of the 65th Miss Universe Beauty Pageant. Through this competition, the top 12 candidates will be determined and will be officially announced on January 30 at the Mall of Asia Arena. After the preliminary interviews yesterday, all 86 candidates are on to compete in the preliminary swimwear, evening gown, and national costume categories. Actor Derek Ramsey and reigning Miss Universe Pia Wurtzbach are the hosts for this evening. Aside from former UNICEF ambassador and 1993 Miss Universe Dayanara Torres, the pre-pageant judges are as follows: Cynthia Bailey's, cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta and founder of Bailey's Modeling Agency; journalist, publicist, international marketing director Rob Goldstone; Fred Nelson, the founder and executive director of People's Choice Award; Francine Lefrak, founder of Same Sky, an organization that helps with HIV victims; and 2007 Miss Universe Rio Mori of Japan. This year, Department of Tourism wanted it to be the reunion of the beauty queens, the very reason why other title holders are also invited as guests for the pageant, including 1991 Miss Universe Lupita Jones. Jones was present at the National Auctions Night last Monday in Conrad Hotel. She will be joined by 1994 Miss Universe Sushmita Sen, 2004 Miss Universe Jennifer Hawkins, 2007 Miss Universe Rio Mori, 2008 Miss Universe Diana Mendoza, 2011 Miss Universe Laila Lopez, 2013 Miss Universe Gabriela Eiler, 2012 Miss Universe Olivia Culpo, and the first Miss Universe in 1952 Armi Quizela of Finland. Apart from American rapper Flo Rida, Grammy Award-winning iconic and R&B group Boyz II Men will also perform in the Coronation Day. Meanwhile, 1994 Miss Universe Sushmita Sen has arrived today at NAIA Terminal 1.
To me, this is important as a judge. I think it should be something that has the potential to grow in time. Something that has great, the kind of beauty that has great poise, the tremendous amount of elegance, which is, like they say, I think, confidently beautiful. Okay. Not screaming, I'm beautiful, just confidently beautiful. Okay. I'm looking for that, and hopefully she'll be someone who's like Apia. Well spoken.
Are you also
beautifully spoken?
The fan voting is now open, and according to the Miss Organization President Paula Shugart, the votes will be considered in selecting the top 12 candidates who will be competing on the pageant proper on January 30. Rina Villamor Camara, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Malacanang maintains that there is no declared holiday for January 27 and 30. This despite calls for declaring January 30 as a non-working day to give way to the Miss Universe 2016 beauty pageant, which will be held in the country. However, Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada has already announced suspension of classes and office works on January 27, the eve of Chinese New Year.
Coming up, BFP firefighters and NHA builders vie for the remaining quarterfinal slot in the UNTV Cup Season 5.
And a film about eating disorder anorexia stands out in the largest independent film festival in the United States.
Germany's economy minister reminds people not to forget the past and continue the fight in remembrance of the Auschwitz liberation. June Garin will tell us why.
As global remembrance events start to mark the 72nd anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, a Czech camp survivor has arrived in Germany. Otto urged young people to use their voice for good and has called on people to help make a better future.
Aber ich bin bis jetzt ein Pfadfinder.
warten daher nie auf, an die Gerechtigkeit zu glauben. Auch heute gibt es schwache Menschen, Menschen in Not, Flüchtlinge gejagt, voller Angst. Europa ist eine große Idee. Wir haben die helle Verpflichtung, zum Asylrecht zu stehen. Uns hätte die Welt damals schützen und aufnehmen können. Aber wir waren der Welt egal, bis auf wenige Ausnahmen. Nie mehr will ich in einer Welt leben, in der andere Menschen egal sind. Auch diese Ausstellung ist ein kleiner Versuch, dagegen anzugehen. Es ist mir und den anderen Überlebenden sehr wichtig, dass in dieser Ausstellung gemeinsam mit uns junge Menschen zu Wort kommen.
Culmer was sent to Tierra Sanjdat as a forced laborer in 1941. After participating in an uprising, he was deported to Auschwitz in 1944. As a member of the International Auschwitz Committee, Culmer said he hoped the exhibition of photographs and testimonies from survivors would help people remember that they should help one another and not fuel further hatred. German Economy Minister Sigmar Gabriel also attended the exhibition, opening in a fortnight that has seen a surge in right-wing utterances on German soil. Germany's Constitutional Court also recently refused a plea to ban the far-right German NPD party, saying the party had clear National Socialist leanings but lacked influence or means to cause any threat. The rightist AfD party has also been making headlines. Gabriel referred to a speech by AfD regional leader Bjorn Höcke criticizing the erection of Holocaust memorials in Germany. The 72nd anniversary celebrations commemorating the liberation of the Nazi German concentration and the extermination camp Auschwitz will take place on the 27th of January 2017. Jun Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe.
The Belarus Ministry of Interior confirms that the $2 million worth painting by a 19th century Russian painter is now in their possession. John Garin will tell us why.
Belarusian drug enforcement officers has announced on Wednesday they have recovered a painting from Russian 19th century landscape painter Ivan Shishkin, worth up to $2 million. Belarusian police said the painting was brought into Belarus to be sold to a potential buyer from Europe, but the deal did not happen as the sides did not agree on the price. The painting was brought along with a shipment of cocaine, ecstasy, and cannabis. It was later identified as 1897 work by Ivan Shishkin's Forest Pine Trees. It was stolen from a museum in Russia's Vladimirsky region in 2013. The police also said the painting was supposed to be sold to an EU citizen upon arrival to Moscow.
И в этот же вечер, когда было задержание, преступники должны были вывести картину в Москву, где уже ждал очередной покупатель, готовый был выложить 100 тысяч евро и 3 килограмма кокаина. То есть картина шла в счет оплаты очередной партии наркотиков.
The painting is currently being examined by experts in the Minsk National Art Museum. After initial examination, the experts agreed that most likely the painting is authentic. Jun Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe.
Captains and coaches competing in the 2017 RBS Six Nations gather in London. Meanwhile, Usain Bolt's number of goals is down to 8. Aaron Romero tells us why.
Usain Bolt, the fastest human ever timed, loses one of his 9 Olympic golds after Jamaica teammate Nesta Carter tested positive of dope during the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Carter was found to have taken the prohibited substance methylhexamine, says the International Olympic Committee, or IOC. The Jamaica team must hand over their gold medals to the IOC. For this, Trinidad and Tobago will be promoted to gold. Japan team moves up to silver, and fourth-placed Brazil will be awarded bronze. Subject to any further results from the IOC anti-doping retesting program. This brings Bolt's number of golds down to 8. In sumo wrestling, Japan rejoices as sumo wrestler Kiseno Sato becomes the first Japanese-born and bred grand champion in nearly 2 decades. 30-year-old Kiseno Sato is promoted to Yokozuna, becoming the first native Japanese to attain the sport's most exalted rank since 1998. The homegrown Rikishi, as the wrestlers are called, secures the ultimate rank with his first ever tournament win in a bruising bout with long-dominant Mongolian-born Yokozuna Hakuho. And in rugby, captains and coaches of the 6 teams playing at the 2017 RBS Six Nations gathered during the official launch of the competition held at the Hurlingham Club in London. The 6 nations comprise of England, France, Ireland, Italy, Scotland, and Wales. The first round of rugby's greatest edition is on February 4th. Aaron Romero, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
The BFP firefighters and the NHA builders both gear up for Sunday's match. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
AFP Cavaliers, Malacanang Kamao, and PNP Responders. These are the 3 teams already guaranteed the ticket to the quarter-final round this season of the UNTV Cup. One more team will complete that list. And to determine which side wins that final slot, the BFP Firefighters and the NHA Builders will meet on UNTV Cup hardcourt in Sunday's doubleheader. The 5-4 win-loss record holding Firefighters must be able to extinguish the Builders to be guaranteed of the ticket. And to do that, Coach Ramon Garcia is gearing up his players towards the win.
Paghahanda pa namin defense namin at yung offense namin.
However, should the green and white jersey beat the Firemen, the 2 sides will have another face-off to decide which team wins or goes home.
Kailangan namin bumawi sa next game, kailangan namin manalo. Actually, kailangan ko lang i-condition yung mga utak nila eh. Yun na lang ang problema ko eh. Nawawala yung mga pinag-aaralan namin pag ano eh.
Sunday's BFE NHA Hardcourt Collision will be aired live on UNTV, emanating from Pasig City Sports Center at 3 p.m. with live streaming via UNTVweb.com. Bernard Dadis for UNTV Cup Season 5.
The new film To the Bone receives a positive welcome in the Sundance Film Festival. Nina Armilio tells us why.
Starring Lily Collins, who suffered from anorexia 10 years ago and had to lose weight for the production, the film follows Ellen, played by Collins, as she is continuing her treatment into overcoming her anorexia without success. However, when she meets the unconventional Dr. William Beckham, played by Keanu Reeves, she begins to see her condition in a different way.
It's really a condition that needs a lot of support and love, and I think this film has a lot of love and support depicted in it and coming from it and in the making of it. So hopefully it's entertaining and people get something out of it.
The issue of eating disorders has rarely been covered on film, but has been the subject of numerous television movies and featured in soap operas. According to the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders, around 30 million people suffer from some kind of eating disorder, with 0.9% of American women suffering from anorexia and 1.5% of American women suffering from bulimia nervosa at some point in their lifetimes. It also reports that eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental illnesses.
This story is just bringing an awareness to the topic and a greater understanding of what it is to go through it and the mindset of it, that I hope people just understand, maybe that don't know anything about it, that they better understand what it's about, and also for those that are suffering with it, that you're not alone.
The film is based on the experiences of the writer-director Marty Noxon, who is best known for her television productions Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and Unreal. When asked why Hollywood has never dealt with the issue of eating disorders before,
more than anything, I wanted people to understand that eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia, disordered eating of any kind, it's not really a vanity issue. In its own way, it's almost like an addiction. It's analogous to being an alcoholic or something. You think that you don't have a problem, so you don't talk about it until you start to recognize you have a problem.
To the Bone, which so far has received glowing reviews, has been picked up by Netflix, according to trade magazine Variety, for around $8 million since it premiered at Sundance. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news, January 26, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.